Lord, I worship you. Tell him this morning, hallelujah. With all my strength, Lord, I worship you. With all my mind, Lord, I worship you. With all my mind, Lord, I worship you. With all that is within me.
Sometimes it's God that puts us there because he's trying to get a vision to us. And the only way he can get his vision to us is in the middle of the valley. We like to think that if God would give me the provision that I need, then I'll run with the vision. But God first starts with the vision first. I'm going to give you a vision in the middle of the valley, because that's where faith needs to start, is in the middle of the valley. Because it takes no faith when you got all the provision. It takes faith when you're in the middle of the valley, when you're starched and scorched, when you need some water. I can barely breathe because I'm so overcome with being in the middle of this valley. I don't know if I can take one more step. It takes faith. God reveals himself in the valley. I can tell you about just a few years ago when I was holding my son, and my son passed away in my arms. The valley, I can tell you about the valley. I can tell you about what it's like in a room not much different than this, carrying the coffin of my son from the funeral to the hearse. I can tell you what it's like to lose all hope. But aren't you so glad? Like, I'm so glad that we serve a God that gives us a vision in the middle of our valley, because that's just what God did to me. He gave me a vision of what he wants to do in me and through me while I was in the middle of my valley. And some of you are in the middle of it. And he's reaching out to reveal to you just who he is, just how big he is. And the circumstances that you are in are impossible to get to where you want. It's the valley.
Yes. Yes.
What's the valley? I need some towering mountain. A valley is a low place between two mountains. And some of you, you've been down in the valley. And the valley often is our past. I'm not insinuating anything here, Pastor. You know the past, the things that you did, the things that happened to you, the bad choices, maybe the things that somebody else did you. And the past is so big, it's so mountainous, it looms over you and it threatens your future. The valley. The valley, and then the other mountain, it's the future. Because sometimes the future seems so big and I seem so small down here. The valley is a place where hope goes to die. That's the valley. That's the valley where hope goes to die. You know, there's this one instant where Jesus, he goes to a place called the Pool of Bethesda. Anybody heard of that? You read that? Well, what happened there was, it was a place where nothing was working. Crippled, infirmity, people that were broken, all in the same place. Nothing was working. Jesus shows up on the scene, and when he rolls up, he says, "Tell me your hardest case." Because isn't that what God does? When the Spirit of God is moving in us, he pulls us towards the hardest case. Give me your toughest scenario. Give me the person who was so broken that the only way to healing is through Jesus. Show me your toughest case. And this church exists in the valley where it seems like nothing is working, and that's exactly where God needs you to be. Show me your toughest case.
Glory to God.
So the man says, well, there's somebody who's been here 38 years, crippled, can't move. And there's this practice where in the pool, once it starts to bubble, they believe that the first person in after it bubbles gets healed. 38 years. I can't seem to get to the water. I think the toughest thing about having dreams down in the valley is when you know God said it, but you just can't get to it. Isn't it? Isn't that the toughest place?
Yes.
God said it about my future. I can see it, but I can't quite seem to get to it. 38 years, the blind could get to it. Maybe they could stumble, but at least they could move. 38 years, he can't move, he can't get to it. Show me your toughest case. And Jesus shows up, reveals his intention and who he is to him in the middle of his valley. It's so hard when you can see it, but you can't get to it. How long have you been believing for a breakthrough? How long has God been pulling on you? And you're just down in the valley, overwhelmed by what has happened to you in the past, and overwhelmed by what is in front of you in your future. And your hope is dying in the valley. But God is revealing himself. Can we get a hand for our mountains? I'm trying to say that revival starts when God reveals himself. And revival continues. If God reveals himself, then he begins to